and welcome back to the second episode of Leadership Lens, a special series bringing you leadership insights as a part of the Denodo Data Bites podcast. I'm your host Neha, and today we have the honor of hosting Alberto Pan, the Executive Vice President and Chief Technical Officer at Denodo. Alberto will share his insights on GenAI, GenBI, and how the Denodo platform can help organizations unlock their full potential. With that being said, very glad to have you back on the show, Alberto. It's been a while. So to kick us off, could you tell us a little bit about what's involved in your current role at Denodo for our new listeners, please?
Hello, Neha. Thanks for having me. Well, as the Chief Technical Officer of Denodo, I lead its research and development organization, and my responsibilities include defining the roadmap of the Denodo platform and leading the product development activities at Denodo. And of course, in the last couple of years, we have all been very excited about the applications of GenAI and GenBI in the data management space. We have been working on that quite intensively.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know, Alberto. So just to begin with, can you start by explaining what GenAI and GenBI are and how they differ from traditional AI and BI tools?
Yes, of course. Well, generative AI refers to a subset of artificial intelligence that focuses on creating new content rather than only analyzing existing data, right? This is the type of artificial intelligence that is behind ChatGPT, DALL-E, and other popular AI services that I am sure most listeners are familiar with. And GenBI is an emerging concept that leverages generative AI to enhance business intelligence in several ways. For instance, GenBI can allow generating queries and reports using natural language. So instead of writing SQL queries to obtain data and using an UI to create charts, the analyst can simply write what they want in natural language, and the GenBI application will do the rest. And also, the analyst can also get automatic recommendations at different points of the analysis process. For instance, analysts with GenBI can get suggestions about follow-up questions or additional charts that can complement what they have done so far.
Okay, perfect. That explains it very well. So how does the Denodo platform facilitate the integration of GenAI and GenBI? And what are the key benefits of this integration for organizations?
Well, first, there are a number of benefits that you get from using Denodo in any BI initiative, whether it uses GenBI or not, right? For instance, with Denodo, you can access and combine data from any data source at any location or premises or in the cloud. Also, you access data through a semantic layer that exposes data in the language of the business. And it is also, with Denodo, much faster to create data products to attend new business intelligence needs, right? So first of all, I would say that Denodo provides a strong data foundation that is always needed for all BI initiatives. But there are also specific benefits for GenBI applications, right? And a very important one is that with Denodo, the accuracy of your GenBI applications will improve. And let me elaborate on this a little bit, right? About what is exactly the problem and how Denodo can help. Well, first, probably the listeners are probably aware that GenAI tools like ChatGPT and so on don't have perfect accuracy and can sometimes hallucinate incorrect responses, right? And in GenBI applications, this may result, for instance, in GenBI applications generating incorrect SQL queries that fail to execute, or even that return incorrect results, right? And well, one of the main reasons why this may happen is that by default, the GenAI models like ChatGPT and so on do not know the semantics of your data. They don't know, for instance, what tables in your databases should be used to answer queries about your products or your customers. They don't know either the specific ways that you have coded your data classification or what are the relationships between the different data entities. And without that context, the accuracy of the query generation process that is the basis for GenBI can be potentially quite low, right? And many people try to solve this problem by providing the large language model behind the scenes with the technical metadata contained in your databases, right? Things like the table names, the column names, the data types, the primary keys, and so on, all the metadata that is typically available in your internal databases. And that improves things a little, but it's still not enough, because if you think about it, users of GenBI applications will ask questions in the language of the business, right? They will use the terminology that is used by your business, while the metadata in your databases is technical language. So there is a mismatch there. Okay, so how can Denodo help? Well, the key point is that the semantic layer that Denodo provides for BI applications speaks the language of the business. Data products and data columns have business names. They also have descriptions. They have tags to specify semantics and to link it to a business glossary. They include relationships between the different business entities and so on. And this type of business metadata allows GenBI applications to achieve a much better accuracy. Actually, we have recently published a blog post in datamanagementblog.com detailing our experiments with two standard benchmarks for measuring the accuracy of text-to-SQL translation in GenBI applications, and the results are very clear. When you use only the type of technical metadata that you find in conventional databases, the accuracy is between 25 and 50%, which is not very high, but it goes over 85% when you use the semantic metadata of Denodo.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Alberto. So I want to understand a little bit more about GenAI, and we can further discuss how efficiently it works and integrates with GenBI, right? So how does the Denodo platform provide GenAI models with a strong data foundation while ensuring data privacy and protecting confidential information?
Well, yes, great question, right? Because I think that another of the big worries that people have when using GenAI and GenBI applications is ensuring that data is always accessed in a secure way. This is obviously something that we hear constantly from our customers. So, for instance, I said before that GenAI and GenBI applications use metadata about your business and also about your data to be able to automatically generate these SQL queries over the internal data of the organization on behalf of the users. Then, one natural question is, then how can we be sure that the users see only what they are able to see? Well, another key benefit of the semantic layer that Denodo creates on top of the data sources of the organization is that it provides a single entry point to apply security and governance policies like privacy regulations, for instance, across all data sources and all data consumers, including also the GenBI consumers. For instance, we have many customers that are using Denodo as a single entry point for accessing personal and sensitive data across the organization to ensure that they are fully compliant with regulations like GDPR, for instance, right? So you can apply the same idea for GenBI applications. By routing the queries of your GenBI applications through Denodo, you know for sure that all the security and governance policies will be applied, and your users will never see data that they cannot see.
That explains it very well. Thanks, Alberto. What are some common challenges organizations face when trying to integrate GenAI and GenBI? And how does Denodo help overcome these obstacles, in your opinion?
Well, we have already discussed some of the main challenges where Denodo can help, such as how do I give GenBI applications access to all my data sources? Or how can I improve the accuracy? Or how can I be sure that my data is accessed in a secure way, right? Another challenge that we have seen frequently and where we think Denodo can help is less technical, but is also very important, and is return of investment and cost justification. Because data integration is typically one of the main cost factors in GenBI applications. And many companies that are trying to create their very first initiatives with GenBI obviously are also very worried about the return of investment that they will get and the level of initial investment that they will need to do, especially in the early stages when maybe they are still experimenting and learning to use the technology, right? So precisely one of the benefits of the virtual integration approach of Denodo is that you can integrate data from any data source and expose it to the business applications in the way they need much faster than with other alternatives. And you can also do this incrementally. So you start to show value quite fast and with a high level of control over the cost of the initiative. So I think that's another very important benefit. And of course, there are also other challenges that are not technical in nature, like finding the right talent and expertise with GenAI applications, or change management and cultural adoption of GenAI applications, right? Those are obviously also very important, and also obviously no technical tool will solve those for you completely. But we also think that having the right technical staff can help a leader, even with those non-technical issues, by making it easier and faster to provide users with the data they need and in the formats that they need.
That explains it very well. Thanks, Alberto. We covered the data security and privacy aspects. We also covered data integration and management aspects of how Gen AI and Gen BI help us with and integrate very well with the Denodo platform. So my final question on this topic is what trends do you see in the evolution of Gen AI and Gen BI, and how is Denodo positioning itself to stay at the forefront of these advancements?
Well, yes, the GenBI is still in its infancy, so very probably we'll see rapid changes in several areas in the next few years. For instance, I think we will see more and more multimodal interfaces. So, for instance, in addition to using text to provide the input for GenBI applications, I think users will also be able to use speech and images, for instance. I think we will also see significant improvements in personalization. So GenBI applications will take into account also your preferences and your activity history to improve their outputs and also their recommendations. And for instance, this is an area where we at Denodo are putting very significant effort in reusing the past activity in the system to personalize the behavior for different profiles and for different types of users. And I think we will also see an increased focus on reusability. So the work of some users can be used as a starting point by other users to improve both the agility and the consistency of BI initiatives. And again, I think reusability is another of the key benefits that you get when using Denodo as the foundation for your BI initiative. So again, I think this is well aligned with Denodo's value proposition and with the work that we are doing in the platform.
Very interesting. I think the Denodo platform then in a way supports these technologies by providing a robust and a real-time data foundation, right? Also while improving accuracy and ensuring data privacy. So it's really interesting to see how this whole concept of Gen AI and Gen BI will eventually evolve, and excited to see how Denodo kind of remains at the forefront by continuously innovating. So that was really interesting. Thank you, Alberto. Before we conclude, I have a short Q&A round in store for you. So are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. So my first question is, what is the one thing about Denodo's future that you're most excited for, especially in this time of hyper innovation that's going on?
Well, there are many things going on in Denodo right now. I don't know. One I am very excited about is the launch of the Denodo 9, our new major version that will be launched actually in the very same week that we are recording this. So probably when our listeners hear this, it's already available. And this new version includes many enhancements in areas such as connectivity, self-service, continuous integration and development, federated governance for data mesh initiatives, and of course also GenAI and GenBI applications. This has been a version where we have been working with all the team, well, actually for a couple of years now. So we are very, very excited that it's finally being released.
Very exciting news indeed, yes. And on a lighter note, my final question for the day is, what is one place you've never been to but would like to travel to?
Well, to be honest, I have been traveling a lot in the last few years, but there are still many interesting places I have not visited yet, like, for instance, New Zealand, or I don't know, Scotland or South Africa. But if I had to mention only one trip I have never done, but I would really like to do, it would probably be going on a safari in Africa, because especially both my wife and my son, yeah, they are big animal lovers, and going on a safari is one of the things that we have always wanted to do. And we will probably do it sooner than later, at some point when probably when my son is a little older.
Great location for sure. All right. Thanks so much, Alberto. This was a wonderful session. And thanks again for joining us to discuss all things Gen AI and Gen BI today.
Thank you.
And a quick message to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please head over to denodo.com/podcast to find out more resources on all things data.